Hey, Jack Martin here for The Hard Right. As far back as I can remember, I've heard people who profess to be conservative to say that they want term limits. And I think that makes sense that if the president is limited to two terms, that maybe Congress should have a couple terms, maybe the House should have six terms equaling the same number of years as Congress. But that never happens. And I want to explain a little bit of that. You see, I ran in 2022 for the congressional seat in my district. I ran against a man whose father had been in that position for 20 years prior to him. He was going for years 18 and 19. And people would say openly, oh, we need term limits. But whenever I would speak to individuals, to the man, they would say to me, well, not our congressman. And I would try to find out why. In one particular case, a woman said to me, well, the congressman got my family forgiven of a big slip up with the IRS. I think it was something like $10,000, $11,000. She said he was able to get that forgiven. Well, I had been speaking just prior to that to a Vietnam veteran who had been in the Navy, had been exposed to some chemicals, had health issues, and he was about to be cut off from his benefits. And I said to her, well, what about this fella in the Navy? And to my shock, and I mean, I honestly, to my disgust, she looked at me and said, hey, the congressman can't help everybody. And my response was, oh, wait, he can help you get forgiven a $10,000 or $11,000 screw up, but he can't help somebody that served our country. You see, what we do every time when our congressman runs, we look at he got my family money here, he got my cousin a job, he got me out of trouble with the IRS. And we forget that maybe some of the bills that he's putting forward hurt our nation far more than anything that he's given you. In the last particular case, there was a bill, HR 550, that was a bill that gave the CDC the power to have a nationwide data bank of every person who was or wasn't vaccinated. It could have been used to track anybody down and punish people who weren't. He had also signed on for HR 4550, which was the red flag gun law, that would say that if somebody who had been in the military, if they were reported by somebody without any proof even, that they could be a threat, that the government could come in and take their gun even without having any solid reason for it. And from my point of view, as long as we continue to do things like that, we're going to keep electing the same people who for the last 20 or 30 years have run up a $38, $39 trillion debt in our government. People have got to realize the power to term limit somebody rests in the individual voter. And until you actually vote for the candidate who will do the things that are best for the nation rather than for you personally, we're going to be in a situation we're in. The last time when I ran, we spoke in Citrus County, and the congressman had boasted that he had gotten 10 of 12 earmarks to 1 year and 12 and 12 the next year. And I just kind of sat there stunned thinking he's bragging about spending a lot of pork money. So in the next event, it was in Spring Hill, I made the statement that I was for a one-item bill, but I thought that every bill should be limited to one item so that everybody can't find their little piece of the action and help them to vote for bad bills. And he actually stood up behind me and said, you know, I agree with Jack on this. We've got to cut out the pork. Now, others in the room may not have realized what had just happened, but I had just been with him the week before and heard the opposite. Even now, as we're going forward into 2024, the same individual, when we needed patriots to not back McCarthy for House, he didn't do it. On the very first vote, he voted for him to be Speaker. When that $4 trillion bill just came up that increased our national debt, he voted for that. When I went through some of his financials, I saw that he had a $5,000 donation from BlackRock. These are the kind of things I'm saying. We don't vet an individual for what he's doing to the nation. We simply keep electing them because we know the name or they were higher on the order or the list of voting. We've got to start looking at candidates, picking the person who honestly will bring America back both to God and to our senses. And so I challenge you, before you vote the next election, know in every, whether it's school board, whether it's county commission, whether it's Senate or the House or the presidency, know who it is you're voting for. This is Jack Martin signing off for The Hard Right.